The first thing I noticed was the smell. Not flowers or champagne or that sweet vanilla cake smell you expect at a wedding. No. This was something sharper. Anxiety mixed with expensive perfume, mixed with the kind of tension that makes your skin crawl. I sat in the third row at my daughter's wedding and watched 200 people pretend everything was perfect, while the air itself screamed that it wasn't. Maya looked beautiful, 28 years old, and wearing a dress that probably cost more than my truck. Her hair was pulled back in some elaborate style that took 3 hours and a team of professionals. She smiled when she was supposed to smile. She cried when she was supposed to cry. But I knew my daughter. I'd known her since the day she came into this world screaming and red-faced and absolutely furious about the whole situation. This wasn't happiness. This was performance. I'm 55 years old. I've spent 33 years in construction. I know the difference between a solid foundation and something that's going to collapse the first time real weight hits it. This marriage was drywall on cardboard. Pretty on the surface, hollow underneath. Blake Morrison stood at the altar in his $1,500 suit and smiled like he'd just won the lottery. I guess in a way he had. His family was old money, the kind that didn't talk about money because they'd had it so long they forgot what it was like to worry about it. My family was the kind that checked the bank account before buying groceries. Different worlds, different languages, different values. Blake's mother sat in the front row wearing cream silk and a smile that could cut glass. Patricia Morrison, 60 years old, tennis 3 times a week, charity boards, country club. The kind of woman who said, "Bless your heart," and meant, "Go to hell." She kept glancing back at the guests like she was taking inventory, making sure everyone saw her son marrying beneath him, making sure everyone knew she was tolerating it with grace. The ceremony ended. Everyone clapped. Maya and Blake kissed. I watched my daughter walk back down that aisle holding onto a man who looked at her the way you'd look at a new car. Shiny, useful, temporary. The reception was at the Morrison estate, 10 acres in suburbia, the kind of place that had a name instead of an address. Ashford Heights. There was a fountain in the driveway, an actual fountain, with cherubs. I parked my truck between a Mercedes and a BMW and felt like I'd driven onto the wrong movie set. The reception hall was all white and gold, chandeliers that probably cost more than my house, tables with centerpieces that would feed a family for a week, wait staff in black and white uniforms moving through the crowd with trays of champagne and tiny food that looked like art projects. I found my seat, table 12. I wasn't at the family table. That was fine. I'd expected it. My wife Laura sat next to me in the blue dress she'd bought specifically for this day. She squeezed my hand under the table. "You okay?" she whispered. "Fine," I lied. "You're grinding your teeth." "I'm smiling." "You're doing both." That's Laura, 26 years married and she still catches everything. She's smarter than me, always has been. Works in hospital administration and has this way of seeing through bullshit that should be classified as a superpower. She'd been warning me about Blake for months. I'd ignored her because I wanted Maya to be happy. Turns out, wanting something doesn't make it true. The speeches started. Blake's father stood up first. Tall man, distinguished, silver hair. He talked about legacy and tradition and family values. He never once said Maya's name, just referred to her as Blake's beautiful bride, like she was a trophy instead of a person. Then Patricia stood up. This was the moment. I felt it in my gut the same way you feel a storm coming. That electric charge in the air, that sense that something's about to go very wrong. "I have a special gift for the bride," Patricia announced. The room went quiet. Maya smiled nervously. Blake's smile got wider, like he knew what was coming and approved. A staff member brought out a box wrapped in silver paper with a white bow. It was about the size of a shirt box. Patricia handed it to Maya with this smile that was all teeth and no warmth. "Open it, dear," Patricia said sweetly. "I picked it out myself." Maya's hands shook slightly as she tore the paper. She lifted the lid. I couldn't see what was inside from where I sat, but I saw her face. The color drained out of it like someone pulled a plug. Her smile froze, then cracked, then shattered completely. Blake leaned over and pulled out what was in the box. He held it up for everyone to see. A maid's uniform, black dress, white apron, little white headpiece. The room went silent. That heavy, awful silence where everyone knows something terrible just happened, but nobody knows how to react yet. Blake grinned. "Perfect," he said loudly. "She's going to need it at home." Some people gasped. Some laughed nervously. Patricia smiled like she'd just done something generous. Maya's eyes filled with tears. She looked at Blake, at his mother, at the uniform, then down at her lap. She didn't throw it down, didn't yell, didn't walk out. She just sat there, accepting it, like she'd been trained to accept humiliation with grace. That's when something in my chest cracked, not my heart, something deeper, the part of you that decides who you are and what you'll tolerate, the part that draws the line. I stood up. Every eye in that room turned to me. I'm not a big man, not intimidating, just a guy in a suit that's a little too big because I bought it 10 years ago and lost weight. Work boots instead of dress shoes because I don't own dress shoes. Calloused hands, gray hair. Nobody important. "Now open my gift," I said. My voice cut through the silence like a saw through wood. Clear, sharp, final. Maya looked at me. So did Blake. So did Patricia. So did 200 guests who probably didn't even know my name. I walked to the gift table at the back of the room, found my box. It was small, wrapped in brown paper, no bow, no decoration. I'd wrapped it myself that morning with tape and string because I'm not good at wrapping gifts, and I didn't care. I carried it back through the silent room. My boots clicked on the marble floor. Nobody moved, nobody breathed. I set the box in front of Maya. She stared at it like it might explode. "Open it," I said quietly. She looked at Blake. He nodded like he was giving permission. That pissed me off more than the uniform. The fact that she needed his permission to open a gift from her own father. Maya's hand shook as she tore the brown paper. Inside was a plain cardboard box. She lifted the lid. Inside were 3 things: a set of keys, a stack of documents, and a printed message on white paper. Maya pulled out the keys first, stared at them, then the documents. Her eyes went wide as she read, then wider. Her face went from white to red to white again. Blake grabbed the papers. Read them. His smug grin evaporated like water on hot concrete. He looked at his mother, at me, back at the papers. "Where did you get this?" Blake's voice cracked. "Read the message," I said. Maya picked up the printed paper. Her hands were shaking so hard she could barely hold it. She read it silently. Tears ran down her face. Different tears than before. Not humiliation tears. Fear tears. Patricia stood up. "What is this? What's in that box?" I didn't answer. I just smiled. The same smile I'd give a client when they asked if a building was structurally sound right before I showed them the cracks in the foundation. "We need to talk," Blake said to me. His voice tried to be commanding but came out desperate. "Privately." "No," I said. "I don't think we do." I turned and walked out of that reception hall. Laura followed without a word. We got in my truck and drove away from Ashford Heights, while 200 people stood there trying to figure out what the hell just happened. Laura waited until we were on the highway before she spoke. "So you actually did it," she said. "Yeah." "The keys to what?" "Everything that matters to them." "The documents?" "Proof of everything they tried to hide." "And the message?" I glanced at her. She was smiling. Not a happy smile, a satisfied smile. Like she'd been waiting for this moment as long as I had. It said, "You wanted her to be a maid. Let's see how you like serving someone else. I prefer thorough. They're going to come after you. Let them. They're coming after nothing." Maya's going to hate you. That one hit harder than I expected. I kept my eyes on the road. She already does. She just didn't have permission to show it until now. We drove in silence for a while. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and purple and red, beautiful and violent at the same time, like the world was burning and proud of it. My phone started ringing. I ignored it. It rang again and again. I turned it off. "How long have you been planning this?" Laura asked. 6 months. Since when? Since the day Maya told me she wanted Blake's family to pay for the wedding. Since the day she stopped calling unless she needed money. Since the day she looked me in the eye and told me I was embarrassing her in front of Blake's parents because I showed up to their country club dinner in work clothes. She actually said that? Word for word. Laura looked out the window. Kids break your heart in ways you never see coming. Yeah. So what now? Now they learn what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness. We got home just as the sun disappeared completely. Our house is small, 3 bedrooms. Built it myself 20 years ago. It's not fancy, no fountain, no chandeliers, but it's solid. Foundation that'll last 100 years. Roof that won't leak. Walls that won't crack. Real. That's what it is. Real. I poured myself a whiskey. Laura made tea. We sat on the back porch and watched the stars come out. Somewhere across town, my daughter was probably crying. Her new husband was probably screaming. His mother was probably calling lawyers, and I felt nothing. Not guilt, not satisfaction, just the quiet certainty that comes from doing exactly what needed to be done. My phone buzzed even though I'd turned it off. I must have hit the wrong button. A voicemail notification. I almost deleted it. Then I saw it was from 3 days ago. From Blake. I'd missed it in the chaos of wedding preparation. I played it. Blake's voice came through the speaker. Smooth, confident, threatening. "Listen, old man, I know you think you're something special because you built a few houses. But let me make something very clear. Maya's mine now. This family's mine. And if you ever embarrass us again the way you did at that country club dinner, things are going to get very uncomfortable for you. So do us all a favor. Show up to the wedding, smile, give a nice gift, and then disappear back into whatever blue-collar life you crawled out of. Don't make me teach you your place." The message ended. I played it again. Then a third time. Laura watched me. "When did you get that?" "Didn't until just now." "That changes things?" "No, it confirms them." I deleted the message, finished my whiskey, went inside and opened the safe in our bedroom closet. Inside were the copies of everything I'd put in Maya's box. Plus one more thing. Architectural blueprints, demolition plans, survey reports. Laura stood in the doorway. "What are those?" "Insurance." "Against what?" "Whatever they try next." She walked over and looked at the blueprints. Her eyes widened. "Is that the Morrison estate?" "Yep." "How did you get these?" "I built the addition on their west wing 12 years ago. Kept copies of everything, like I always do." "Why?" "Because people like Patricia Morrison think contractors are idiots who don't know how to read. They forget we're the ones who know where all the weaknesses are, all the shortcuts, all the code violations." Laura picked up one of the survey reports. Read it. Looked at me. "This says the foundation is compromised. Been compromised for 8 years. I told them to fix it. They said it was fine. Signed a waiver saying they acknowledged the risk and declined repairs. So if something happened, the whole east wing could collapse during a strong storm, or a minor earthquake, or if someone put enough weight on the wrong support beam." "Jesus Christ," Laura whispered. "You're planning to destroy their house." "No. I'm planning to prove they destroyed it themselves through negligence. There's a difference. That's what you gave Maya. Proof of the foundation issues. Proof they knew. Proof they're liable. Among other things." "What other things?" I pulled out another folder. Bank statements showing Blake has been living off his mother's money for 5 years. Employment records showing he's been fired from 4 jobs. Credit reports showing gambling debts. And this. I held up a photograph. Blake and a woman who's not Maya, taken 6 weeks ago. Laura took the photo, stared at it. Where did you get this? Hired an investigator. Cost me $2,000. Worth every penny. Does Maya know? Not until she opened that box. She's going to be destroyed. She's already destroyed. She just didn't know it yet. Laura sat down on the bed. She looked tired, older than 52. When did you become this person? When my daughter looked me in the eye and told me I wasn't good enough to sit at the family table at her own wedding. We sat in silence. The house creaked around us. Old wood settling. Comfortable sounds. Safe sounds. My phone rang again. This time I answered. It was Maya. Her voice came through broken and desperate. Dad, what did you do? What was in that box? The truth. Blake says you're lying. He says you forged documents. Blake's a liar and a coward, and you know it. He loves me. No, baby. He loves what he thought you could give him. There's a difference. You ruined my wedding. Your mother-in-law ruined your wedding. I just made sure everyone knew it. I need you to take it back. Whatever you said in those documents, tell them it was a mistake. Can't do that. Why not? Because it's not a mistake. Every word is true. Every document is real. Every key opens a door they don't want opened. I hate you. I know. I never want to see you again. That's your choice. She was crying now, hard, broken sobs. Why are you doing this to me? I'm not doing it to you. I'm doing it for you. You just can't see that yet. You're a monster. Maybe. But I'm your monster. And that box was supposed to protect you. You decided to marry the person it was warning you about. That's not on me. She hung up. I set the phone down. Laura was watching me with this expression I couldn't read. Somewhere between proud and horrified. You okay? She asked. No. Good. If you were okay after that conversation, I'd be worried. I laughed, short and bitter. I raised her better than this. You raised her to be kind, to trust people, to see the best in them. That's not a failure. That's proof you were a good father. Good fathers don't end up here. Good fathers do what needs to be done, even when it breaks their heart. I looked at her. This woman who'd stood by me through 3 decades of struggles and failures and small victories, who'd believed in me when nobody else did, who'd warned me about Blake from the beginning, who was right about everything, even when I didn't want to admit it. Thank you, I said. For what? Not saying I told you so. She smiled. The night's still young. We went to bed, but I didn't sleep. I lay there in the dark and thought about Maya as a little girl. How she used to follow me around construction sites wearing a tiny hard hat I'd bought her. How she'd hand me tools and ask questions about everything. How she'd draw pictures of houses and tell me she wanted to build things like Daddy when she grew up. When did that girl disappear? When did she become someone who let people humiliate her in public and smiled through it? When did she decide that money and status were worth more than dignity? Or maybe that wasn't fair. Maybe she didn't decide. Maybe she was pressured, manipulated, groomed by people who saw weakness and exploited it. Maybe she was a victim. But victims who become collaborators are still collaborators. At some point, you make a choice. At some point, you draw a line. She'd drawn hers, on the wrong side. My phone buzzed again. Text message from a number I didn't recognize. This is Patricia Morrison. We need to talk. Tomorrow, my home, 10 a.m. Come alone. I showed Laura. She read it and laughed. She thinks she's summoning you. She's used to people obeying. You going? Hell yes, I'm going. Want backup? No, this one's mine. I texted back. I'll be there. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again, then nothing. She didn't know what to say. Probably the first time in her life someone agreed to her demands without arguing or asking questions. That alone would terrify her more than any threat. I finally fell asleep around 3 in the morning. I dreamed about the wedding. But in the dream, the maid's uniform wasn't in Patricia's box. It was in mine. And when Maya opened it, she laughed. Everyone laughed. And I was the one crying. I woke up sweating. Laura was already awake, reading on her tablet. She glanced at me. Bad dreams? Weird dreams. About Maya? Yeah. She'll come around, eventually. You don't know that. No, but I know you, and I know that everything you did yesterday, you did because you love her. One day she'll understand that. And if she doesn't? Laura set down her tablet, looked at me with those eyes that had seen me through everything. Then she doesn't. But that doesn't change what you did or why you did it. You can't control how people react to the truth. You can only control whether you tell it. I got up, showered, put on work clothes, jeans, flannel shirt, boots. I looked at my one suit hanging in the closet, the suit I'd worn yesterday. Then I put on my work jacket instead. If Patricia Morrison wanted to meet, she was going to meet the real me, not some dressed-up version trying to fit into her world. I drank coffee, kissed Laura goodbye, got in my truck, and drove toward Ashford Heights. The morning was cold and clear, perfect construction weather, the kind of day where you can get real work done. I wondered what kind of work I was about to do. As the story unfolds, hit the hype button, like, subscribe, and write in the comments. Would you forgive them or walk away? The gates to Ashford Heights were closed when I arrived at 9:50 in the morning. I pulled up to the security intercom and waited. A camera mounted on the stone pillar swiveled to look at me. I looked back, didn't smile, didn't wave, just waited. The intercom crackled. Name and purpose. Thomas Drake, I'm expected. Silence. Then the gates swung open with this slow, mechanical grace like they were doing me a favor. I drove through. The driveway curved through landscaping that probably required a full-time staff. Trees trimmed into geometric shapes, flower beds arranged by color, grass cut so perfectly it looked artificial. I parked in the circular driveway next to the fountain. The cherubs looked judgmental in daylight. I got out and walked to the front door. It opened before I could knock. A young woman in a gray uniform stood there. Actual household staff. She looked nervous. Mr. Drake? That's me. Mrs. Morrison is waiting in the sitting room. Please follow me. I followed her through an entrance hall that was bigger than my entire first floor. Marble floors, oil paintings. A staircase that curved up to the second level like something from a movie. Everything pristine. Everything expensive. Everything carefully arranged to remind visitors that they were beneath the people who lived here. The sitting room was all cream and gold. Patricia Morrison sat in a high-backed chair that looked like a throne. She'd positioned it so the morning light came from behind her. Strategic. Made it harder to read her expression, made her look more imposing. Blake stood next to her. He'd ditched the tuxedo for slacks and a polo shirt. His hair was messy, dark circles under his eyes. He looked like he hadn't slept. Good. Sit, Patricia commanded, pointing at a small chair across from her, lower than her chair. Another strategy, make me look up at her. I stayed standing. I'm fine. Patricia's mouth tightened. I asked you to sit. And I declined. What did you want to discuss? Blake stepped forward. His face was red, angry. You know exactly what we want to discuss. Those documents you gave Maya. Those lies. Not lies, facts. Certified copies from public records. You can verify every single page. You had no right. I had every right. They're public records. Anyone can access them. I just did the work. Patricia held up a hand. Blake went quiet immediately. Trained. Mr. Drake, let's be civilized about this. I understand you're upset about the gift I gave your daughter. Perhaps it was in poor taste. I apologize. She said it like someone reading lines from a script. No sincerity, just words. Apology noted, I said. Anything else? I need you to retract those documents, admit they're fraudulent, sign a statement saying you fabricated them out of spite. No. I'll pay you. No. $50,000? I laughed, actually laughed. Patricia's face went stiff. Blake looked like he wanted to hit me. You think I did this for money? I asked. You think this is about money? Everything's about money, Patricia said coldly. Men like you always have a price. Men like me? What kind of man is that exactly? The kind who works with his hands, the kind who resents people with breeding and education, the kind who married above his station and never got over it. She meant Maya's mother, my first wife, Rebecca, Maya's mom. We'd divorced when Maya was 6. Rebecca came from money, not Morrison money, but comfortable money. Her family never thought I was good enough. Turns out they were right. We divorced amicably. Rebecca remarried, moved to Oregon. Maya spent summers with her growing up. It was fine, or it seemed fine. But Patricia had done her research. She knew the one thing that might actually hurt, might make me doubt myself, might make me back down. Rebecca was too good for me, I said calmly. She figured that out. I respected her for it. But that's not why I'm here. Then why are you here? Blake demanded. What do you want? I looked at him, really looked at him, studied him the way I'd study a structure before demolition, looking for load-bearing walls, looking for weaknesses, looking for the exact right place to apply pressure so everything comes down clean. I want you to understand something, I said quietly. You thought you married a meal ticket, a pretty girl from a poor family who'd be grateful for the upgrade, someone you could control, someone your mother could mold into the perfect submissive daughter-in-law, someone who'd serve you for the privilege of being associated with your name. Blake's face went white. Patricia didn't move. But Maya's not a meal ticket. She's my daughter. And those documents prove that this entire family is built on debt, lies, and borrowed time. The keys I gave her open safety deposit boxes containing evidence of fraud, tax evasion, and conspiracy. The statements show that Blake here has $200,000 in gambling debts to people who don't send polite collection notices. And the property records show that this house, this beautiful estate, is mortgaged to hell and about to be foreclosed on unless someone pays the balloon payment due in 60 days. Silence. Heavy and thick. Blake looked at his mother. She was gripping the arms of her chair so hard her knuckles were white. You're bluffing, Patricia said, but her voice wavered. I'm not, and you know it, because you've known all of this for months. You just thought you could marry Blake off to someone with enough assets to bail you out. You thought Maya's trust fund from her mother would cover the balloon payment. You thought I'd be too stupid or too intimidated to read the fine print on the papers Maya brought me to sign. You thought wrong. That trust fund is Maya's, Blake said desperately. Legally. Legally, it requires co-signature from both parents to access before she's 30. Rebecca won't sign. I won't sign. So it's locked. For 2 more years. Which means you're broke. Which means this house is gone. Which means your whole perfect life is going up in smoke. I pulled a folder from my jacket, set it on the coffee table between us. Unless... Patricia stared at the folder like it was a bomb. Unless what? Unless you agree to my terms. What terms? Divorce Maya, immediately, quietly, amicably. She keeps the gifts, you keep the debts, you leave her alone forever, you don't contact her, you don't badmouth her, you disappear from her life like you never existed. Blake exploded. Are you insane? We just got married. Marriage license isn't filed yet. I checked. You have 72 hours to submit it to the county. Don't submit it. Get an annulment. Move on. This is extortion, Patricia hissed. No, This is a business transaction. You wanted someone to solve your problems. I'm offering a solution, just not the one you expected. And if we refuse? I smiled. Then that folder goes to the IRS, the state attorney general, the bank holding your mortgage, the 3 guys Blake owes gambling money to, and every newspaper in the county. Your son will be charged with fraud. You'll lose this house, and Maya will be free anyway. Your choice. Blake lunged at me. Actually lunged, arms out, face twisted in rage. You son of a... I sidestepped. Easy. He was soft, slow, had probably never been in a real fight in his life. He stumbled past me and crashed into a side table. A vase fell and shattered, expensive-sounding shatter. Blake! Patricia stood. Control yourself. He spun around, faced me. His fists were clenched, but he didn't swing. Just stood there, shaking. You don't know who you're messing with. Yeah, I do. I'm messing with a trust fund brat who's been playing dress-up as a responsible adult while mommy pays his bills. I'm messing with a woman who thinks cruelty is the same as class. I'm messing with people who built their identity on looking down at others because it's the only way they know how to feel tall. Get out, Patricia said. Her voice was ice. Get out of my house. Gladly. But that folder stays. Read it. Think about it. You have 48 hours to decide. After that, I start making calls. I walked out. Blake followed me to the front door. This isn't over. Yeah, it is. You just don't know it yet. I'll destroy you. You can't destroy something you never had power over. I got in my truck and drove away. In the rearview mirror, I could see Blake standing in the driveway, watching me leave, probably planning his next move, probably calling his lawyer, probably thinking he could fix this. He couldn't. I'd made sure of that. I drove to a diner across town, the kind with cracked vinyl booths and coffee that tastes like it was brewed yesterday. Laura was already there. She'd ordered me eggs and toast. I slid into the booth across from her. How'd it go? She asked. About like I expected. Threats, bribes, denial. Blake tried to punch me. Did you hit him back? Didn't need to. He fell over a table on his own. Laura grinned. I wish I'd seen that. Wasn't much to see. He's softer than week-old bread. What did Patricia say? Not much, but she heard me. She knows I'm serious. You think they'll agree? They'll try everything else first. Lawyers, investigators, maybe actual violence. But eventually they'll realize I have all the cards and they're playing with borrowed chips. And Maya? That question hung in the air. I pushed eggs around my plate. Haven't heard from her since last night. She needs time. She needs therapy. And a divorce. In that order. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Drake. Mr. Drake, this is Detective Martin Chen with... I hung up. Looked at Laura. They called the cops. On what grounds? Probably made up some story about me threatening them. Extortion, assault, whatever sounds believable. What are you going to do? Nothing. They have no proof because I didn't do anything illegal. They're just trying to scare me. The phone rang again. Same number. I let it go to voicemail. Then I turned the phone off completely. We should get a lawyer, Laura said. Already have one. Called him yesterday before the wedding. Briefed him on everything. He's expecting this. Jesus, how long have you been planning this? Told you, 6 months. No, I mean how detailed. How far ahead. How many moves? I looked at her. All of them. I planned all the moves. We finished eating. I paid. We walked out to the parking lot. A police car was waiting near my truck. 2 officers, one leaning against the hood, one standing by the driver's door. The one by the door was young, maybe 30. He straightened up when he saw me. Thomas Drake? Yep. I'm Officer Willis. This is Officer Samuels. We need to ask you some questions. About? An incident at the Morrison residence this morning. They say you threatened them. I didn't threaten anyone. I presented information and offered a business proposal. They didn't like it. That's not a crime. They say you tried to extort them. They're lying. And they know it. And if you check the recording I'm sure Patricia Morrison made of our conversation without my knowledge or consent, you'll see that I never made a threat. I never demanded money. I never touched anyone. I simply provided facts. Officer Willis looked uncomfortable. You're recording your conversations? No, but Patricia Morrison records everyone who enters her home. Security system. Covers every room, audio and video. It's all stored on a private server. If she's claiming I did something illegal, the footage will prove otherwise. Unless, of course, the footage mysteriously disappears, which would be destruction of evidence, which is also a crime. The two officers looked at each other. Samuels, the older one, shook his head slightly. Willis sighed. Sir, we have to write up a report. Then write one. But include everything I just said. Because when this goes to court, and it will go to court, I want it on record that the Morrisons called police to harass me after I exposed their financial crimes. What financial crimes? Willis asked. I smiled. Ask them. And ask them why they're so eager to make me go away before I can talk to the right people. We stared at each other. Willis broke first. We'll be in touch. Looking forward to it. They got in their car and drove away. Laura waited until they were gone before she spoke. You're enjoying this. A little. That's concerning. I know. The next attack came from a direction I didn't expect. Not social media, not lawyers, not public opinion. This one hit where it really hurt. My business. I was at a job site when Jake called. We've got a problem. What kind of problem? The Maple Street renovation. Client just called. They're canceling the contract. On what grounds? Safety concerns. They said they heard you were under investigation for stalking. Said they can't have that kind of liability on their property. I'm not under investigation. The restraining order was denied. I know that. But they don't care. Or they do care, but it doesn't matter. The perception is enough. That's breach of contract. Sure, we can sue, spend 6 months in court, spend $5,000 on lawyers, and maybe win $10,000. Or we can cut our losses and move on. I closed my eyes. How bad is it? Maple Street was $12,000. Anderson project is on hold pending review. They haven't canceled, but they're nervous. And I got a call from the bank. They want to meet. Something about reviewing your line of credit. My stomach dropped. When? Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. They were very insistent. I hung up. Stood there in the middle of the construction site. Around me, workers were framing walls, installing electrical, doing honest work. And somewhere across town, Patricia Morrison was systematically destroying everything I'd built. I called Eric. They're going after my business. Customers are canceling. Bank wants to review my credit. Can they do that? Eric asked. Bank can do whatever they want. If they think I'm a risk, they can call my loans. And with customers canceling, I might not be able to pay them back, which makes me an actual risk. What do you need? I need to know my options. How do I fight this? You can't. Not directly. Patricia's not doing anything illegal. She's just using her connections, making phone calls, spreading doubt. It's all technically legal. So I'm supposed to just let her destroy me? No, you're supposed to fight smarter. Find her weakness. Hit back where it hurts. Where does it hurt? Her house. The inspection report. The red tag. That's still hanging over her head. That's still her biggest problem. Use it. I thought about that. How? Make sure everyone knows. The bank. Her social circle. Her friends. Make sure they all know that Patricia Morrison's estate is condemned. That she's broke. That her whole perfect life is falling apart. Make her toxic. Make people distance themselves from her the same way they're distancing themselves from you. That's her playbook. Fighting fire with fire. Sometimes that's the only way to put out the fire. I called Jake back. I need you to do something. What? Call everyone we know in construction. Everyone who does work in Patricia's neighborhood. Tell them about the inspection report. Tell them about the violations. Tell them the Morrison estate is condemned and Patricia can't afford to fix it. Spread it around. That's gossip. That's facts. She wants to play the reputation game? Fine, let's play. Jake laughed. I like this side of you. I don't, but it's necessary. I spent the rest of the day working, physical labor, hammering, sawing, lifting. It helped clear my head, helped me think. By the time I got home, I had a plan. Not a good plan, but a plan. Laura was waiting. Jake told me about the cancellations. Yeah. What are you going to do? Fight back. Patricia wants to make me toxic? I'm going to make her radioactive. How? By making sure everyone knows her house is condemned. By making sure her friends and neighbors and social circle all know she's broke. By destroying her reputation the same way she tried to destroy mine. That's not who you are. Maybe it's who I need to be. No, it's who she is. Don't become her just to beat her. I sat down, put my head in my hands. Then what do I do? Let her win? Let her take everything? You outlast her. You survive. You keep doing good work. You keep being honest. You keep being you. And eventually, people will see the truth. Maybe not everyone, but enough. That's not enough. I need my business. I need those contracts. You need to not lose yourself in this war, because if you do, even if you win, you'll have lost everything that matters. I looked at her. This woman who'd stood by me through everything, who'd been right about every major decision we'd ever made, who was right now even though I didn't want to admit it. What if I can't outlast her? What if she destroys everything before people see the truth? Then we rebuild. We've done it before. We can do it again. But I wasn't sure I believed that. Wasn't sure I had the energy to start over. I was 55 years old, tired, angry, running on spite and stubbornness. That's not a foundation. That's quicksand. The next morning I went to the bank. The loan officer's name was Peterson. I'd worked with him for 8 years. Good relationship, or so I thought. He sat behind his desk, looking uncomfortable. Thomas, thanks for coming in. What's this about? We need to talk about your line of credit. Recent events have raised some concerns. What events? The allegations, the court case, the social media posts. Our risk management team is concerned about potential liability. The court case was dismissed. The allegations were proven false, and social media is just gossip. I understand that. But perception matters. And right now, there's a perception that you're involved in a high-conflict situation that could impact your business. So you're calling my loans. I didn't say that. But you're thinking it. He didn't answer. Didn't have to. I could see it in his eyes. The bank was cutting me loose. Not because I'd done anything wrong, but because I was messy. And banks don't like messy. How much time do I have? I asked. We're not calling anything yet. We're just reviewing. But if the situation continues to deteriorate, we may need to reassess. Reassess. That's corporate speak for, we're screwing you over but trying to sound polite about it. Thomas, I'm trying to work with you, but you need to understand our position. I understand perfectly. Patricia Morrison has connections. She's probably a client here. She probably made some calls. And you decided it's safer to appease her than to stand by someone you've worked with for 8 years. Peterson's face went red. That's not... It's exactly what happened. Don't insult me by pretending otherwise. I stood up. You want to call my loans? Go ahead, but I'll make sure everyone knows why. I'll make sure every contractor in this county knows that this bank caves to pressure from people with money and connections. See how that affects your business. I walked out, got in my truck, sat there shaking, not from fear, from rage. Pure, unfiltered rage at the unfairness of it all. At the fact that truth didn't matter, facts didn't matter. Only money and connections and perception mattered. My phone rang. Eric. Good news, I found something. What? Patricia's been hiding assets, moving money offshore. I've got a forensic accountant friend who looked into her finances. She's not just broke. She's in criminal territory, tax evasion, wire fraud. It's federal. Can we prove it? We can, but it's not going to be fast, and it's not going to be cheap. We'd need to hire specialists, file complaints with the IRS, wait for them to investigate. Could take months, maybe years. I don't have months. I need something now. Then we leak it, get the information to the media, let them do the work. That's playing her game again. That's the only game there is right now. I thought about Laura's words, about not becoming Patricia, about not losing myself, my life's work crumbling, everything I'd built being destroyed by someone who thought she was above consequences. Do it, I said. Leak it, all of it. You sure? No, but do it anyway. I drove home, told Laura what I'd done. She didn't say anything. Just looked at me with this expression of disappointment and understanding, like she knew why I'd made the choice even if she didn't agree with it. No going back now, she said quietly. No going back. That afternoon the story broke. Local news, then regional, then national. Wealthy socialite accused of tax evasion and asset hiding, complete with details about the offshore accounts, the shell companies, the falsified tax returns. Patricia's world exploded. Her phone probably started ringing off the hook. Her lawyer probably had a heart attack. Her social circle probably scattered like cockroaches when you turn on the lights. And I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no victory, just emptiness. Because Laura was right. I'd become what I was fighting against, used the same tactics, played the same games, won by destroying instead of building. My phone buzzed. Text from Maya. What did you do? I called her. Did you see the news? Everyone saw the news. Dad, what were you thinking? This is going to make everything worse. It's going to expose Patricia for what she really is. It's going to make you look vindictive, like you're on a revenge crusade, like you're the bad guy. I don't care what I look like. I care about stopping her. This isn't stopping her. This is escalating. This is making it personal. This is... She stopped. I could hear her crying. This is exactly what she wanted. She wanted you to lose control, to do something you'd regret, to prove her point that you're dangerous and unstable, and you just gave her exactly what she needed. She hung up. I sat there with my phone in my hand, realizing she was right. I'd played right into Patricia's trap. She'd pushed me until I pushed back. And now she could point at my actions and say, "See, I told you he was dangerous." I'd lost. Even in winning, I'd lost. Laura came outside, sat next to me, didn't say anything, just sat there. Finally, she spoke. You can still fix this. How? By being better than her, by showing everyone that you're not what she says you are, by doing the right thing even when it's hard. What's the right thing? Back off. Stop fighting. Let the authorities handle Patricia's crimes. Let karma do its work. Focus on your family, on your business, on rebuilding what got damaged. Show people through your actions that you're not the villain she painted you as. That sounds like losing. That sounds like living. There's a difference. I wanted to argue, wanted to explain that backing off meant Patricia won, meant she got away with everything, meant she'd destroyed lives and faced no consequences. But I also knew Laura was right. This wasn't about winning anymore. This was about survival, about keeping what mattered, about not losing myself completely. Okay, I said. I'll back off. You mean it? I mean it. She kissed my cheek. Good, because I was worried I'd lost you to this thing. You almost did. That night I called Eric. Pull back on everything. No more leaks, no more investigations, no more offensive moves. You sure? We've got momentum. Patricia's on the ropes. I'm sure. Let the feds handle her. We're done. Thomas. If we back off now, she could recover, could rebuild, could come after you again. Then she does. But at least I'll still be me when it happens. I hung up, deleted all the files, all the evidence I'd been collecting, all the ammunition I'd been stockpiling, cleared my computer, cleared my phone, left only the basics. Only what I needed to defend myself if Patricia came after me legally. Nothing more. It felt like surrender, but it also felt like freedom. The next morning, I went to the job site, worked, came home, had dinner with Laura and Maya, watched TV, went to bed. Normal life, or as normal as life could be when you'd just fought a war and lost and won and couldn't tell the difference anymore. But it wasn't over, because Patricia Morrison wasn't the type to accept defeat gracefully. She was the type to burn everything down on her way out, and that's exactly what she tried to do.